A FOX 6 investigation finds police used force against an innocent man, then failed to make any record of it. Well, now the city is cutting that man a six-figure check.
FOX 6 investigator Brian Paulson live in the studio to show you the breakdown in communication that led to one bad night. Brian?
Yeah, Ted and Mary, when 5 police officers tackled Michael Poe at a hospital lobby in 2021, they say they were just following orders. Their sergeant now says they misunderstood. But it's what the sergeant did next that will cost you, the taxpayer, the equivalent of the city attorney's annual salary.
Cooperate.
2.5 years after Milwaukee police did this, the city is writing a check to Michael Poe for $150,000.
I'm just ready to move forward with my life.
According to the original police report, it never happened. And it might have stayed that way.
That man ain't did none.
If not for a citizen with a cell phone.
Yeah, I remember seeing the.
You saw it on Fox 6?
Seeing it on Fox 6, yes.
And a FOX 6 investigation.
You knew it was going to happen. Something bad was going to happen after that report.
Well, we all figured there was going to be a lawsuit. I mean, like usually when something like that airs, we figured there would be a lawsuit.
We just wanted something fair.
Poe sued Milwaukee police last year, not only because of what happened in the lobby of St. Mary's Hospital, but what happened after.
They knew that they did something wrong.
Would you raise your right hand to be sworn?
Now, newly released depositions offer further insight into what went wrong.
Just a miscommunication.
Mr. Poe was the victim of that miscommunication, which resulted in a violation of his civil rights.
It all started in April of 2021 in a private River West cigar lounge, where Poe and his friends were watching basketball.
We seen a big spark come from the ceiling.
Then I said, oh, it's a hole up in the ceiling.
A bullet from above struck a man in the lounge.
Blood is just gushing out of his leg.
So Poe and a friend rushed him to the hospital.
There's a hole in the ceiling.
Larry's right. I've been shot.
He said, I've been shot. I'm like, what?
Blood is just pouring from his leg.
There, Sergeant Chance Bamba says he had no reason to suspect Poe had done anything.
He's, real relaxed, calm.
Until
I'm shot. What the am I supposed to do?
This man showed up at another hospital.
Nobody had prior knowledge of the second victim.
20-year-old Cameron Lee was in the apartment above the lounge when he accidentally fired his gun, then panicked.
There's got to be another way out.
Jumped off the balcony.
That was a pretty big jump.
And ran.
I don't know how I did it, but I just did it.
Back at St. Mary's, suspicion turned to an innocent man.
We have reasonable suspicion that the crime has been committed.
For me?
Yes.
I received a call from Sergeant Bamba, who had ordered me to place him in the back of the squad.
Officers William Mouch and Olivia Olson,
It was just the order I was given by my sergeant.
say Sergeant Bamba ordered them to detain Poe.
It was an order from a boss.
Bamba now says
I don't know if they were orders. I refer to them as simple asks.
they misunderstood.
I mean, it wasn't you better or there's consequences. It was for purposes of investigation. I would like you to place him in the back of a squad car.
Olson says they gave Poe a choice.
It's either you stand up and you go to our car, or you can do it in cuffs.
I'm not standing up and I'm not doing it in cuffs either.
Why not?
Because I'm not.
Well, it's
I'm not.
And when he said, I don't want that choice, who escalated it from there?
I don't know.
As she and Mouch moved in to handcuff Poe,
Listen to me, I'm not going out like that.
he became irate.
I'm not going out like that. Sir, I'm not going out like that, man. When fingers are getting pointed at you for something that you didn't do. What I do? What I do? What I do?
And then
What I do?
this happened.
It's just basic physics. I mean, we guided him up with our force and guided him to the ground.
Officer Mouch described it as a trained technique known as decentralization.
The decentralization was a pull and push down. Basically, you secure the head and bring him to the ground.
But Sergeant Bamba later decided Poe simply fell down.
Mr. Poe kind of caught him off guard and stood up, and he lost balance and they fell to the ground.
Mr. Poe didn't just fall to the ground on his own, did he?
No, he definitely was assisted.
Do you believe that force was used against Mr. Poe?
Yes.
And anytime police use force, a supervisor is required to file a use of force report. Bamba never did.
Was it because Bamba didn't want to do the report on use of force?
Correct.
Did you think that was appropriate?
No.
The sergeant, who was already making plans to retire later that year, says he decided he could always file a report later, if Poe complained.
You know, if he calls, you can always, file a use of force then.
After our investigation, Poe sued, and last month the Milwaukee Common Council voted to approve a cash settlement, but not before the city attorney's office took one parting shot. In a letter to the Common Council, City Attorney Tierman Spencer writes the case was headed for jury trial when Attorney Gendy unexpectedly accepted the city's earlier settlement offer. He says he did so the day after the city successfully defended police in another federal case.
It's just a way to try and make an excuse for what they've done.
Do you think at this point in time would it make sense to withdraw and say, listen, we won in federal court on the other case. We will win on this with you.
Deputy City Attorney Jennifer Williams says it's too late.
Before I could withdraw our offer, he accepted it.
The offer was there. It was never rescinded. We accepted it. And that's the way things work in this world.
I think it's fair.
Poe still believes police did something wrong that night.
But it was just one bad night.
Now he has 150,000 reasons to move on.
That doesn't erase all the great things the city has done. One bad night.
Our original story on this incident from last year has more than 2.6 million views on YouTube, and it was after that story that Milwaukee police opened an internal affairs investigation. But by that time, Sergeant Bamba had already retired, so he was not a subject of the investigation. Internal Affairs found no violations were committed by any of the other officers involved. We offered Milwaukee police a chance to talk about this case. They declined. Milwaukee City Attorney Tierman Spencer did not reply to a request for comment.
Michael Poe did nothing wrong. He was smoking a cigar, watching basketball. But there was a gunshot. What about the guy who fired that gunshot? What became of him?
Yeah, that young man you saw in the video, 20-year-old at the time, Cameron Lee, pleaded guilty to injury by negligent use of a weapon. He was sentenced to probation. As far as I can tell, at least from CCAP anyway, he's not been in trouble since. Obviously, had he not run that night, none of this probably ever would have happened, but that set off the chain of events. And here we are.
Of one bad night. All right.
Absolutely.
Brian, thank you.